Hello and welcome to this Wheel and Anchor webinar for our New Zealand LiveAway program. I'm really excited to take you through what I think is one of the most visually stunning, culturally rich, and emotionally grounding destinations anywhere on the planet. Visiting New Zealand is a journey through nature at its most dramatic and peaceful. The volcanic landscapes and the Maori culture of Rotorua, the vineyard covered hills of central Otago, and the fjords and alpine beauty of the South Island. It's a place where stillness and awe exist side by side. Many people think of New Zealand as a place for extreme adventure, and that's absolutely true. But there's much more to it than that. This trip is designed to go beyond bungee jumping and zip lining to show you a slower and more meaningful side of the country. The spiritual glow of a canyon lit up by glowworms, the quiet elegance of a geothermal spa beside a crater lake, the story shared over a glass of wine in Queenstown. These are the moments that linger. Over the course of 22 days, we'll base ourselves in three iconic parts of the country. First of all, the capital, Auckland, then down in Rotorua, and finally Queenstown on the South Island. Rather than racing from one highlight to the next, we'll move at the relaxed pace of our live-away style, giving each destination the time and the space to reveal itself naturally. Now, for those of you who regularly watch our webinars, you're welcome to skip ahead to the map and the detailed day-by-day itinerary. If you look just below this video in the description, you'll find the time markers for easy navigation to those sections of the webinar. But if you're new to us, I encourage you to take a couple of minutes as I explain a little bit about who we are at Wheel and Anchor. Now, before I get started talking about New Zealand, I want you to know that this is not just another travel company presentation. What we've created here at Wheel and Anchor is a community of Canadian explorers who share a common perspective on the way to travel. And we're basically just the facilitators of that. And the experiences we offer are a mirror of how the members of our community like to travel. What truly unites us is our shared curiosity about the world and our desire for experiences that go beyond those typical tourist pamphlets. Now, let's be clear, those typical landmarks, well, they're famous for good reason. And so we absolutely include those in all of our journeys. But where our community truly thrives is in those magical moments between all the landmarks, discovering a hidden cafe in Sicily or a stunning viewpoint in Kyoto that most visitors might not otherwise find. And because we believe in the joy of personal discovery, we intentionally build in that precious free time for you to be able to explore exactly what calls to you. What I've discovered in my 34 years of organizing travel is that what transforms a good trip into an unforgettable experience is the people whom you share it with. There's something special about traveling with fellow Canadians and friends who get your references, share your perspectives, and quickly become friends rather than just travel companions. If that notion resonates with you, if you value those evening conversations over a glass of wine, those shared moments of wonder, and the freedom to both connect and explore independently, then you might have found your travel home here at Wheel and Anchor. What I'm kind of alluding to here is that we're not just about stamps in passports. We're about stamps on the heart. And I realize that kind of sounds a bit corny, but let me explain how our twin goals of being well traveled and well connected work together like a perfectly balanced itinerary. When we say well traveled, we mean cultivating what I call explorer's eyes, that ability to find wonder, whether you're standing in front of Machu Picchu or sipping a coffee in a Bogota mercado. It's about letting the local rhythm or the local vibe challenge your assumptions. Let's take New Zealand, for example. It's like standing in the quiet glow of a canyon that's lit up by thousands of tiny creatures and realizing just how nature can humble us in the gentlest of ways. Um, or learning about the meaning of behind a haka and suddenly understanding that strength and vulnerability can be expressed in the very same breath. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Well, don't we all just want those Instagram moments? Well, for sure. But we'll get those too. The real magic happens here when a simple conversation with a coffee grower in the coffee region of Colombia, for example, changes how you appreciate your morning brew back home. And that brings us to the notion of being well connected. On one of our recent trips, the host told me that the group had discovered that they'd had three retired teachers, a couple of amateur photographers, and someone who'd worked with Canadian First Nations communities. And by the end of the trip, they'd created a shared photo album and had already planned a reunion for back at home. And here's what most tour companies miss: connection isn't just who you travel with, it's who you become through travel. Our goal is not just to guide you around, but to give you the opportunity to go into a family kitchen or uncover the craft of pottery making as it's been done for generations, to debate sports rivalries with locals who'll remind you of their fascination with your hockey loving neighbors. This dual focus creates what our members call the wheel and anchor effect, returning home not just with souvenirs, but with new lenses to see your community and new friends to see it through. I'd just like to say a couple more things before we delve into the details of this program. And I want to tell you a bit about who we are. Who are the people behind Wheel and Anchor, in addition to our members, of course. And first of all, my name is Gordon Dreger. I'm the founder of this organization, and I've been working in and around the travel industry for about 35 years. And I've organized trips for Canadians to just about all parts of the globe. But I couldn't pull off all the promises that I've just talked about without an incredible team of people, all of whom are as dedicated to as I am to ensuring that we deliver some of the best experiences for our members. Now, I'm not going to introduce them all for you, but the person who's most important, though, is our lead trip specialist, Paula Zarnick. You can see a photo of her here. And she's the person, when you drop us a note, give us a call, who will most likely be frontline to make sure that your questions get answered and to assist you in deciding whether this trip is right for you, or any of our trips for that matter. So let's now dive in and see what makes our New Zealand Live Away so special. Our plan today is pretty straightforward. I'm going to be your virtual guide. I'm going to take you on a little journey around New Zealand the way we have planned it. I'm going to share what you can expect from this incredible live away style trip. We'll start with a geographical overview with a map, just so you can orient yourselves, and I'll walk you through some of the highlights of each day of this adventure. Now, if you're not sure what a live away is, if you're new to Wheel and Anchor and you haven't heard this term before, this style of trip transforms travel from being just a sightseeing tour to more like life experiencing. On our liveaways, we settle into a destination for 2 or 3 weeks. In the case of New Zealand, we're 3 weeks in the country, and we balance guided highlights with personal exploration. You've got time to immerse yourself in local culture, discover hidden gems, and forge meaningful connections, not just with your fellow travelers, but with the people that you meet along the way. And this all happens at your own relaxed pace. Let's take, first of all, a quick look at the map. And of course, you probably know where New Zealand is. It's looks like a pretty small country down in the South Pacific, a few hours flight off the east coast of Australia. It actually covers quite a bit of ground. And so, over the course of 3 weeks, we're going to be journeying through some of the diverse landscapes and living culture, beginning up with Aotearoa in the North Island in New Zealand, which is part of the volcanic heart of the island, and we're going to explore down to Queenstown in the south part of the island. We start in Auckland, which is the capital city. It's sort of perched between two beautiful harbors, and it's built on a field of more than 50 ancient volcanoes. It's a place where Maori heritage meets Pacific Island influence, and where there's a casual coastal lifestyle thriving beneath the skyline of a modern metropolis. It's kind of like Vancouver in some ways. Our home base here is centrally located, and it's perfect for discovering the city's natural beauty, the cultural landmarks, and of course, the culinary gems. From Auckland, we'll make our way overland. We'll head down to Rotorua, which is one of the country's most geologically active and culturally rich regions. We'll find here geysers erupting and mud pools bubbling up, and the stories of the Maori people come to life through art, song, and shared traditions. Rotorua is a place of warmth, both in its people as well as in its geothermal soul. We then have to fly down to the South Island, and we'll arrive in the alpine town of Queenstown, which is on the shores of Lake Wakatipu, and it's surrounded by the jagged peaks of mountains called the Remarkables. I gotta love that name. It's known as New Zealand's adventure capital, but beyond all the thrill, it's also a gateway to some of the country's most awe-inspiring scenery, and we'll explore nearby gold rush towns, some quiet glacial valleys, pristine wine regions, and it'll all happen at a pace that allows for connection, reflection, and thought. From volcanic lakes to glowworm lit caves, from ancient forests and fjords carved out by the glaciers, this journey offers us a true cross section of New Zealand's natural wonders and the warm hearted nature of its people. So let's now dive into the details of our 3 week live away program in New Zealand, and I'll show you some beautiful images of what we can expect to see along the way. Our journey begins as we arrive into Aotearoa, which is the capital region of New Zealand, and specifically we'll be landing at Auckland International Airport. New Zealand is obviously a long way away, but there are some good connections, the best one being via Vancouver. You can fly nonstop down to the capital. After you land at the airport, you'll be collected and brought downtown to this beautiful skyline, which in some ways you look at it and you think it could be a city in Canada or anywhere in North America. Once there, we'll have the rest of the day to relax and stretch your legs and stroll around the neighborhood and sort of get your bearings. You might want to keep an eye out for Rangitoto, which is this dormant volcanic island just off the coast. It's one of more than 50 volcanoes that dot the local landscape. Everything will be at leisure today. You'll meet up with your host, and later on in the afternoon or early evening, there'll be a little icebreaker so you can get to know your fellow travelers. Our first accommodation for our live away in New Zealand is going to be a stylish spot called the Avani Auckland Metropolis Residences, which is a sleek high rise right in the heart of downtown Auckland. It's directly across the street from Albert Park, and it puts us within easy walking distance of the Auckland Art Gallery, the Sky Tower, and the lively district known as Viaduct Harbour, where there's all kinds of cafes and restaurants and shops and so on. And whether you're wandering around boutiques or just taking in the views of the harbor, this location really makes it easy to feel at home. This high-rise setting gives it kind of a unique sense of like a retreat above the city. It's got a beautiful indoor pool as well as a jacuzzi, a sauna, and a gym, so there's no excuse not to stay in shape while you're on our live away in New Zealand. Large windows have sweeping harbor views, so you get to enjoy the skyline from a peaceful and elevated vantage point. After a day of exploration, coming back here feels like slipping into your own quiet corner of the city. The rooms we feature are either one bedroom suites, which have a separate living area, a full kitchen, as well as in room laundry that makes it really ideal for a longer stay. We also have, for a slight upgrade, you can go into a harbor view suite, which they're even more spacious and they have beautiful panoramic views across the iconic waterfront of Auckland. And so, whether you're sipping morning coffee or sitting around with friends planning your next outing, these modern and self contained suites give all the flexibility and privacy right in the heart of the city. Our first full day is all about settling in, getting familiar with your surroundings, and easing into the New Zealand way of life, which is slow paced, friendly, and full of little discoveries. We'll start the day off right with breakfast at a nearby cafe. And this neighborhood where we're staying is full of fantastic spots, as you'll soon find out. And you'll find out quickly why Auckland has earned a reputation as one of the Southern Hemisphere's rising foodie towns. Afterward, we'll gather for a relaxed orientation with our host. And this is the chance to hear more about how the trip's going to unfold, to ask questions, and get a few local tips on how to make the most of your time, not just in Auckland, but in all of our stops. And then we'll set off on foot on a short guided walk around the neighborhood. It'll get you acquainted with all the essentials, where to find an ATM, a grocery store, a good flat white, and maybe even a couple of hidden gems. Uh, Interesting fact, though, Auckland actually has more cafes per capita than New York City, so you're never too far away from an excellent cup of coffee. We'll wrap up our day with a cocktail reception at a local bar. It's a casual and it's a cheerful way to toast the beginning of our adventure and get to know our fellow members a little better. Today, we dive into the city a little further. We'll take a full day guided tour that will blend a bit of the charm of downtown, some coastal views, as well as history of the volcanic area. We're going to cover a lot of ground today, and we're going to start off by driving along the waterfront to an area called Mission Bay. We'll stop in at Bastion Point, which is a historic Maori site offering incredible views over the harbor. We'll then head over to a place called Parnell, which is the oldest suburb of Auckland, and it's got all kinds of heritage architecture and cozy cafes. And from there, we head to the nearby area of Newmarket. We'll also take in what's called the Auckland Domain, which is the oldest park in the city, and it was built around an ancient volcanic crater. Inside the park, we find these winter gardens, which is a couple of Victorian-style glass houses, greenhouses that are bursting with tropical and temperate plant life. It's a really lovely and peaceful stop. We'll then head up to Mount Eden, which is a dormant volcano, and it's the highest natural point in the city. From the top, you get incredible 360 views that really show off the city, and you'll see how it was built on this volcanic field. There's over 50 volcanic cones just beneath the surface. Capping off the day, we'll cross over the Auckland Harbour Bridge and visit the little seaside village of Devonport, which is a quaint and charming with classic Kiwi architecture. Here, we'll also visit Mount Victoria, which has a stunning perspective of the skyline, but this time the harbor will be literally right beneath us. We've got lunch included on this program today, and the evening is yours to enjoy, and perhaps going back to one of the stops along the way, having a glass of wine, and just enjoying the vibe of the city. Today's program is at your leisure. So we have something in store for you, but the whole beauty of these liveaways is that we've got free days so you can explore out on your own or join us on what we think is an interesting excursion out to the wine region. For those that opt to come along with us, we're going to be heading over to what's known as Waiheke Island, which is a very popular spot among the New Zealanders. We're going to walk down to the ferry terminal and take a quick 40-minute cruise across the Hauraki Gulf. If we're lucky, we might see some dolphins playing in the water or even some penguins bobbing around. The destination, again, is known as the Island of Wine. Waiheke is famous for its boutique vineyards, its olive groves, and its artsy coastal villages. When we arrive, we'll have a local guide who's going to take us on a scenic drive around the island, sharing stories about its colorful history from its origins as a Maori settlement to the modern day transformation into a winemaking haven. We'll visit 3 carefully selected vineyards during the day. Each one is known for its character, the terroir, and of course, this amazing Kiwi hospitality. We'll try out a selection of wines. Some of them are actually exclusive to the island, and we'll find out why the microclimate of Waiheke makes it ideal for varietals like Syrah and some of the Bordeaux style of reds. No wine tasting tour would be complete without a delicious lunch, which will be paired, of course, with the wine. We'll enjoy that at our beachside restaurant, and or right amongst the vines. Let's see what happens. We'll ferry back to Auckland later in the afternoon, and once again, you'll have the latter part of the day at leisure to just enjoy and soak it all in. Now, on this, the 5th day of our trip, you have the day entirely up to you to decide what to do. So, of course, we've got some ideas for you, but part of the idea of a liveaway is you do a little bit of research and find out in advance what it is that might appeal to you in visiting a place like Auckland. Some of the ideas we have to share with you are based on what our members have said from past trips. And so you could, for example, take an e-bike tour around the area called Mission Bay that we will have passed through on our orientation tour. This part of town has beautiful views of the harbor, and it's a nice way to stay active. You could also try the penguin experience, and believe it or not, there are penguins here. This is a chance to get up close with the king and gentoo penguins. There's this big snow-filled enclosure with a whole Q&A session about why there are penguins there to begin with, and how they look after them in the best possible way. If you're interested in the deep maritime roots of New Zealand, the Maritime Museum is a real gem. It tells the whole story of the seafaring history of the country, all the way back to the Polynesian migration, up to how modern yachts are designed. It's a very well curated museum. If you want to do something a little more romantic, you could end up your day with a dinner cruise around Auckland Harbor. They have some lovely cruises with an excellent meal, and you could get a chance to watch the sunset from the water. The whole day is at your leisure, but we'll have a group dinner in the evening, not far from a hotel, and it's a great way to swap stories and ideas about things to do on upcoming days. Today, you can either join us on our excursion out to Coromandel, or you can come up with your own plan. That's the beauty of a liveaway. We're going to head 2 hours out of the city, and the Coromandel area is one of New Zealand's most beloved holiday destinations. It's a place where the lush rainforest meets the golden beaches, and the time just seems to slow down even more. It's rugged, it's relaxed, and it has all kinds of neat surprises. We'll start off with a boat ride through a marine reserve. There's some incredible soaring cliffs, sea caves, blowholes. One of the highlights of the day is this place called Cathedral Cove. It's a natural rock arch that's so cinematic, it's even featured in the Chronicles of Narnia. You might remember that movie. And if we're lucky, we might even see some dolphins, some seals, and even more of those little blue penguins. They actually have the smallest penguin species in the world. We'll then head over to the Driving Creek Railway, which is this narrow gauge mountain railway that was originally built by a chap by the name of Barry Bricknell. He was a potter and he used it to haul clay and wood through the forest. And it's kind of a one of a kind scenic ride that winds through this regenerating native bush up to the so-called Eiffel Tower, where we'll have sweeping views over the Hauraki Gulf and out beyond to the sea. Most of all, the most fun that we might have at all is visiting this place called Hot Water Beach. Here we can here there's underground springs that bubble up from beneath the sand. So we're gonna be given a shovel and we can dig a little spa pool for ourselves and sit back in the warm spring water. This is a very New Zealand kind of a moment. We'll have lunch at a local cafe and we'll be back by the end of the day. Once again, lots of fresh air, sunshine, and some incredible memories will be had on this excursion to Coromandel. On the included excursion that we have for you today, there's a great opportunity to connect more deeply with the spirit of Aotearoa. Aotearoa, by the way, is the Maori name of New Zealand. Our morning is going to start off by a very moving performance of what's known as haka. It's going to be led by Maori cultural performers, all dressed in their traditional attire. And this is more than just a war dance. It's actually an expression of unity, pride, and identity. And they do it to honor their guests as well as to mark significant moments. We'll learn all about the meaning behind the chants and the gestures and the values that they represent. It's a great start to the day for sure. We're then going to want to go head over to the Auckland War Memorial Museum, which has some of the most important collections of Maori and Pacific artifacts that anywhere in the country. We'll find some intricately carved waranui, which are the meeting houses, as well as ancient waka, that's their version of canoes, and all kinds of exhibits that trace the journey of New Zealand from its early Polynesian roots all the way up to the present day. We're then going to head back to a stop we passed by on our one of our first days at the Winter Gardens. We're going to go and check out some plants that have some particular significance for the Maori as they revere the natural world. We'll then also stop at Bastion Point again. This is has some great views over the harbor. You can't get enough of the views overlooking New Zealand and its harbor. But we'll, in particular, stop at the memorial of John Logan Campbell, who was often known as the father of Auckland. We'll have it all done by middle part of the afternoon. You'll have the rest of the day at leisure and time to explore Auckland for our last day here. We'll be heading out of Auckland and trading in the harbors and the high rises for something completely different, the region of Rotorua. On the way down to Rotorua, we're going to stop at a spot called Matamata, a town which you might recognize as the real world home of Hobbiton. And we're going to visit here the Firth Tower Museum, which sits on the site of a 19th century colonial homestead. And it allows us to take an interesting look at rural life in early New Zealand. Think antique wagons and vintage schoolrooms and tales of pioneer resilience. We'll have lunch here and continue on. And again, one more stop before getting to Rotorua. We'll take in one of the natural highlights, the so-called blue and green lakes, Lake Tikitapu and Lake Rotokakihi, if I got the pronunciation right. These two crater lakes sit side by side, and each one reflects a different hue to their unique mineral content and the composition of the lake bed. One is kind of this emerald green color, and the other a deep sapphire. It's a great introduction to the geothermal personality of this whole region. When we arrive in, we'll have a short orientation tour pointing out our cafes. We'll have a chance to check in, get settled, and enjoy our first evening in Rotorua. Set in the center of Rotorua, we're going to be staying at the Jet Park Hotel, which is an ideal base for our stay in this culturally rich geothermal region. It's not fancy, but it's cozy, it's comfortable, and it's a short walk from cafes, restaurants, and the Rotorua night market. Being locally owned, it's the kind of place where the staff remember your name and the local touches make you feel like you belong. We'll enjoy breakfast each morning at Te Puru Cafe, a relaxed gathering spot where members can enjoy a generous buffet each morning. Cafe opens out onto a sunny courtyard, which is a great spot for a quiet cup of tea or a pre-dinner drink. The rooms here are designed for comfort and quiet rest. We've got superior rooms which are cozy and well equipped. They've got plush beds and tea and coffee stations, as well as modern bathrooms. But for anyone that would like a little more space, we've got deluxe rooms or even executive suite, which has a lounge and a kitchenette. But regardless of which room you choose, the feel is relaxed, unfussy, and perfect for winding down after a day of exploration. Today's first excursion in the Rotorua region is going to be one of those rare days where it feels like you're walking through another world. This is an experience that brings together lush forest, bubbling earth, and ancient Maori legends. Our first stop is going to be at the Redwoods Tree Walk in the Wakarewarewa Forest. Suspended high above the forest floor, we'll stroll across these gently swaying bridges between towering Californian redwoods. Some of them are over 120 years old and reach up to 70 meters in height. It's peaceful, it's serene, and it's a magical way to connect with the natural world. But of course, if heights aren't your thing, they're not for everybody. The forest floor offers some beautiful walking trails for a more grounded but equally lovely experience. From there, things will heat up a bit, literally, as we head over to Hell's Gate, which is Rotorua's most active geothermal reserve. This isn't truly otherworldly landscape. It's filled with steaming vents, erupting mud pools, and spiky sulfur formations that the Maori once called gateway to the underworld. We'll take a guided walk through the reserve before indulging in the ultimate natural spa experience, a warm mud bath, followed by a soak in the mineral rich sulfur pools. The Maori have used these waters for centuries for their healing properties, and you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and maybe even glowing a little. To keep us fueled up between adventures, we'll have a light morning tea with some muesli bars and some popcorn and maybe a brownie or two. Simple, tasty, but just enough to keep us going for the day. We'll be back in time in the afternoon for you to be able to wander around and enjoy Rotorua on your own. Today, we've got the day for you at leisure, but if you're feeling drawn to the sea a little bit, we've got a little day trip up to Mount Maunganui. This place is affectionately known as the Mount by the locals. It's a laid back beach town and one of New Zealand's top holiday destinations. Once you see it, you'll understand why. There's golden sand beaches, charming cafes, and a totally peaceful vibe. It's the kind of place that Kiwis escape when they want to unwind. We'll head out and arrived, takes about an hour drive to get up there, and then we'll have two ways to experience the iconic Mount Maunganui itself. One way is to take a relaxed 1 hour guided walk along the base, which has beautiful views through the coast, as well as some insight into the Maori stories that relate to this particular mountain. But if you're feeling adventurous, I would highly recommend the 40-minute hike up to the summit. There's some panoramic views over the Pacific Ocean, as well as the surrounding Bay of Plenty. It will absolutely take your breath away. And after the climb, it always feels a little more satisfying. Afterwards, there'll be plenty of time to explore the town on your own. You might wander around some boutique shops or even take a dip into the sea or have a flat white. New Zealand is also known for its coffee culture and just enjoy people watching by the beach. The main beach here, by the way, has been voted the best in New Zealand on more than one occasion. We'll have a casual sort of a picnic lunch with some fresh wraps and homemade brownies and some refreshing Kiwi favorites like sparkling grapefruit or kombucha. And by later in the afternoon, we'll turn back to Rotorua with hopefully a little more sun on our faces. Today's excursion is actually not going to happen in the day. We're going to head out in the evening, and this will be one of those unforgettable moments that feels like stepping into a dream. We're going to head out in mid-afternoon to a place called McLaren Falls Park, which is a beautiful slice of wilderness just outside of Rotorua, and it's known for its lush landscapes and the habitat of the glowworm. We'll begin with a short walk into the forest to a secluded waterfall, which is a perfect place to pause, take a breath, and settle into nature's rhythm. Then we'll gather for a delicious alfresco dinner under the early evening sky. We'll start off with some charcuterie. We'll then have a hearty Kiwi-style barbecue with all kinds of delicious flavors. And after dusk, when night begins to fall, the magic will begin. We'll climb into a large and stable canoe. Don't worry, you don't have to paddle. And we'll float into a narrow canyon that's flanked by towering rock walls. Here, the stillness and the darkness transforms the environment into something truly extraordinary because thousands of glowworms will begin to shimmer into light, transforming the cliffs into a starry sky. These tiny bioluminescent creatures are found only in New Zealand, and drifting beneath them feels like entering into another world. Our guides will share some fascinating insights into the glowworm's unique life cycle and how Maori legends interpret their light as a sacred connection to the ancestors. Roughly at the midpoint of our time in Rotorua is a great time for a free day. And so, whether you're in the mood to relax, reflect, or dive a little deeper into New Zealand's rich cultural traditions, there's some great options for you to uncover. If you're someone who craves something a bit more hands on, then you might want to try the jade carving experience. It's right in the heart of Rotorua, and local artists here will invite you into their workshops for a close up look at how punamu is shaped into beautiful and symbolic pieces. Now, punamu is a greenstone that is deeply sacred to the Maori people, and it's often worn as a protective talisman and passed down through families. You'll hear the stories behind the designs and watch how the raw stone is transformed into something truly meaningful. It's a peaceful and contemplative activity that many find very moving. But of course, you're also welcome to just take it easy today. Maybe take a quiet walk along the lakefront, or if you're keen to see one of the many more geothermal wonders of the area, you might want to take in one of the other spots. There's Tapuia with its famous Pohutu geyser, or the Wai'o Tapu with its champagne pool. But if you'd rather get into the warm water, you might want to try one of the many thermal spring wellness facilities like Waiariki, which has hot pools and all the associated spa treatments. But if you save up some energy for the evening, one of the town's especially immersive experiences is the Mitai Maori Cultural Evening, which is a powerful celebration of Maori identity, storytelling, and tradition. You'll see warriors arriving by torchlight in their wakas, which are the canoes. And after that, there's a performance with haka, song, and poi dancing, all part of the experience. And it's an opportunity to learn about ancient customs, carving, and tattooing. The evening also has a traditional hangi fest, which is all cooked underground using heated stones. It's a culinary method that has been passed down through generations. If you're inspired by any of the ideas that I just mentioned, you have the opportunity to have another free day to explore on your own, or maybe you'll have done some research at home on some things that you'd like to do around Rotorua. But for those looking for another interesting excursion, we have a great option for you over to Hobbiton. This excursion will take us into the realm of fantasy. Whether you're a lifelong J.R. Tolkien fan or just curious to explore one of New Zealand's most iconic filming destinations, Hobbiton will undoubtedly capture your heart. We'll enjoy a relaxed start to the morning before heading to the lush rolling hills of Matamata, where the Shire was brought to life for the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies. It's set on a working sheep and beef farm, and the movie set was originally built as a temporary installation, but after filming wrapped up, it was so beloved that it was rebuilt in permanent detail and opened to visitors from around the world. We'll walk along the winding paths of this enchanting 12-acre site and explore the charming hobbit holes, peek into the vegetable gardens, seeing the famous mill, and even in stepping inside the Green Dragon Inn, where we'll have a drink, lunch, straight out of Middle Earth. Just a fun fact, all the gardens that we'll see are real and seasonally maintained, just as they would be if the hobbits were still tending them. The tour itself takes a couple hours, but we'll have plenty of time to soak in the peace and pastoral beauty of the landscape. It's the kind of place where time slows down and your imagination quietly takes over. One more free day to enjoy Rotorua before we head to our next stop on the South Island. You might want to again consider slowing down, breathing deep, and enjoying some of the tranquil sides of this amazing part of New Zealand. For those who didn't already take the chance to actually soak in some of the geothermal waters, this will be the last chance to do it. And one of the spots you could is at one of the most famous ones in Rotorua, and it's called the Polynesian Spa. It's only a 15-minute walk away, and it's an award-winning retreat. It made the list of the top 10 spas by Condé Nast Traveler. They've got 28 geothermal mineral pools fed by two natural springs. One of them is rich in sodium bicarbonate, which is known for softening the skin, and the other has sulfur in it, which is famous for its therapeutic properties. You can either soak by the lakeside or pick a secluded private pool. It's an amazing way to relax, rejuvenate, and just reflect on all the amazing experiences barely halfway through the trip. And if you're craving a little evening entertainment, we've got another amazing experience that you could embark on, which is the Redwoods Night Lights experience. One last dose of Rotorua magic. Suspended high amongst the towering trees, there's an illuminated tree walk which transforms the Wakareorewa forest into a glowing dreamscape. My Maori is still far from perfect. There's handcrafted lanterns which light the way along these gently swaying bridges, and the whole installation was designed by the world-renowned lighting artist David Trubridge, and walking through it feels like stepping into a forest fairy tale. Regardless, we're all going to gather together in the evening for a little farewell to Rotorua dinner. We'll certainly have lots of stories to share amongst our fellow members by this point. Today, we switch gears again and we trade in the steamy geothermal landscapes for some alpine air and glacier fed lakes. You'll probably want to grab a window seat for the relatively short flight down to Queenstown because the views are truly breathtaking and they give us a bit of a preview of the dramatic terrain that we're going to be exploring over the coming days. Once we arrive into Queenstown, we'll be picked up by our local guide and transferred into our hotel, which is right on the shores of Lake Wakatipu. This is a long Z-shaped lake which has been carved out by glaciers and is steeped in legend. Again, Maori stories talk about the rhythmic rise and fall of the waters as if they were the breath from a sleeping giant. In the afternoon, once we've settled in, we'll have a little walking tour, a little orientation to get to know our surroundings and settle into the rhythm of this energetic and relaxed mountain town. There's boutique shops and wine bars with lake views. There's all kinds of adventure shops, and there's it's got a little something for everybody. But above it all, you'll see the towering Remarkables, which is a striking mountain range that lives up to its name, especially when it's lit up by the golden afternoon light. The rest of the day and evening will be at leisure. It's a great chance to walk around and see what you can find in terms of dining opportunities that you may want to partake in again throughout the week. In Queenstown, we'll be staying at the Waterfront Apartments, which are located just steps from Lake Wakatipu and very close to the town center. With every apartment facing the lake, it's hard to imagine a more stunning setting. The apartment's location offers direct access to the Lake Esplanade walking track with views of pine forest, mountains, and water from your own Juliet balcony. Whether you're watching the historic Ernslaw steamship glide by or just soaking in the fresh alpine air, your surroundings provide a breathtaking backdrop all day long. Our one-bedroom apartments feature full kitchens, dining, and lounge areas, as well as private lake-facing balconies. And for those who prefer a bit more space, we also have two-bedroom apartments, which are an ideal choice for friends traveling together, given that each unit contains two bathrooms, as well as the same amenities as our one-bedrooms. And they all have a warm, cozy design that feels more like a home than a hotel. Today is a grand showcase of the South Island's beauty. It's a full day excursion that's going to take us through some gold rush history, glacier carved lakes, and give us our first glimpse at some of New Zealand's most stunning alpine scenery. We'll start off alongside the Shotover River, which was once one of the richest gold-bearing rivers in the world. A short walk will take us into the Oxenbridge Tunnel, which is a curious remnant of the failed 1900s mining scheme, and it offers a glimpse into the dreams and disappointments of the gold rush era. We'll then visit Arrowtown, which is a beautifully preserved 19th century village with tree-lined streets, heritage cottages, and charming boutiques. And then it's up to Crown Range Road, which is New Zealand's highest paved highway. We'll stop for a sweeping photo ops over Lake Wakatipu and the mountain ranges in the background. In Cardrona, we'll pass the iconic country pub before continuing on to Wanaka, which is a peaceful lakeside town. We'll get a chance to stroll along the shoreline to see the much photographed Wanaka tree. But if you're feeling energetic, you could take an optional hike up to Mount Iron for some panoramic alpine views. On the way back, we'll stop in at Cromwell, which is known for its vineyards and its orchards. We'll take a visit at Mrs. Jones' fruit stall, always a sweet treat, famous for fresh produce and creamy real fruit ice cream. It's always a favorite among our members. If we have time, we'll stop at the A.J. Hackett Bungee Bridge, which is the birthplace of commercial bungee jumping. It's super exciting just to watch, but if you want to jump off a bridge, by all means, this is your chance. We'll be back in Queenstown by late in the afternoon. You'll be able to enjoy dinner at your leisure. You might even want to just have it in, given all of the excitement we'll have had on our excursion today. Today is a free day in Queenstown, and if you're an adventure lover, gosh knows there are a ton of activities you could do. But if your idea of a perfect day includes a little wine tasting, we've got something up our sleeves. Central Otago is one of the southernmost wine regions in the world, and it's especially known for its exceptional Pinot Noir, one of my favorites. This variety thrives in the high altitude, cool climate environment. The landscape around this area is just as dramatic as the wine. Think about rocky outcrops, braided rivers, and rolling vineyards tucked beneath snow capped peaks. We'll start off with a private tasting at Wet Jacket Wines. It's a boutique winery set in a converted woolshed overlooking the Queenstown Marina. It's an intimate cellar experience, private for us, and it offers a laid back and elegant start to the day. We'll discover some beautifully structured wines and hear a few entertaining stories behind the label's quirky name. From there, we head over to Mr. Rosa, where we'll have another guided tasting paired with some local delicacies designed to complement the wine perfectly. It's a feast for the senses and a lovely way to sample both the region's flavors and its hospitality. We'll finish off the afternoon at Gibston Valley Winery, which is one of Central Otago's most iconic estates. Here we'll have a guided wine and cheese tour, tasting a curated flight of wines alongside some handcrafted artisan cheeses, many of which are made right there on site. It's indulgent, it's relaxed, and it's deliciously memorable. And judging by the smiles on all our members' faces from one of our past trips, there's no doubt this will be one of the highlights of the overall trip. If wine isn't your thing, maybe spectacular landscapes are. And this excursion today, which is for our whole group, is a full day adventure to the spectacular Milford Sound, sometimes called the eighth wonder of the world. Because it's a long day, we have to start bright and early, so we'll have a little takeaway breakfast, and then we'll join a few others and make the journey down to Milford Sound. The trip itself being an experience in of itself, because the Milford Road is one of the most scenic drives in the Southern Hemisphere, winding through ancient beech forests, glacier-carved valleys, and dramatic alpine passes. Along the way, we'll stop at some natural landmarks like the glassy Mirror Lakes, and the wide sweep of the Eglinton Valley, and as well as the remote beauty of Nobbs Flat. Our guide is going to share stories of the landscape and all the local wildlife, which, if we're lucky, we'll see some of along the way. When we get to Milford Sound, we'll hop on a 2-hour scenic cruise through this majestic fjord where the sheer cliffs rise straight up from the water and waterfalls cascade from heights of over 1,000 meters. We'll pass Mitre Peak, which is often shrouded in mist, and we'll keep our eye out for seals, dolphins, and if we're lucky, the rare fjordland crested penguin. A light lunch will be served on board the boat as we take in the magic of this incredible landscape. After the cruise, there'll be a couple of options for the journey back. It is a bit of a drive, but you can head back on the coach with the others, or if the weather is right and you're feeling adventurous, you might want to pay a few extra bucks and come back by flight. It's a stunning aerial journey that takes you soaring above the Southern Alps, where you'll see the shimmering lakes and snow-capped peaks, as well as the vivid blue of Lake Wakatipu from the sky. We've put together yet another opportunity to experience the South Island's raw and untamed beauty, this time with a touch of adrenaline and a whole lot of storytelling. This day, we have a half-day adventure into one of New Zealand's most breathtaking and remote landscapes, Skipper's Canyon. This dramatic gorge was carved out by the Shotover River and was once the lifeblood of the Central Otago gold rush back in the late 19th century. Back then, brave prospectors flocked to the steep, wild valleys in search of a fortune, navigating the perilous trails with little more than a pickaxe and maybe a donkey or two. Today, we'll explore the same rugged terrain, but from the comfort of a Land Rover Discovery, definitely a better way to go than a donkey, and our expert guide who has decades of experience and a deep passion for the area, will bring Skipper's Canyon to life through rich storytelling, humor, and a few secrets that we won't find in any guidebooks. The road itself is narrow, winding, and carved right into the sheer cliffs, but don't worry, you're in safe hands. The scenery is nothing short of spectacular, dramatic rock faces, alpine vistas, and glimpses of the turquoise Shotover River far below. Later in the afternoon, though, we'll gather together with our whole gang for another memorable moment. We'll walk over to the base of the Skyline Gondola, the steepest cable car in the Southern Hemisphere, and we'll take a smooth ride up to Bob's Peak. As we ascend, we'll have sweeping views over Queenstown, Lake Wakatipu, and the jagged peaks of the Remarkables. The mountain range is so striking that it was only one of a few in the world to have been named for its dramatic appearance. Up at the top, we'll have a glass together, raising a toast to an extraordinary journey through New Zealand with panoramic views and the golden light of the afternoon. It's a beautiful way to celebrate as we enter the final few days of our adventure. Today is a free day where you can get in a little more exploration, but as we believe in the opportunity to pamper and indulge ourselves, part and parcel to most live-away trips, we've put together the option to visit an onsen. This tranquil spa is inspired by the traditional Japanese bathing ritual, but with a distinctly Kiwi twist that'll undoubtedly be welcomed by our Canadian friends who appreciate it a bit more discretion than in a traditional Japanese onsen. Here, we'll enjoy private cedar hot tubs heated to a soothing 38 degrees, tucked into the hillside with views of the surrounding mountains that are nothing short of breathtaking. This onsen is really popular and it's usually booked up well in advance. So this is one of those opportunities that I wouldn't wait until the last minute to choose. Then, as the evening sets in, we'll gather for our farewell dinner, which we often hold the day before the very last night so that those with early morning departure flights don't have to worry about missing out or perhaps overindulging. This will all take place at a celebrated local Queenstown restaurant just a short stroll from our hotel. It'll be a relaxed and joyful evening, a time to raise a glass, share a few final stories, and celebrate the friendships and memories we've made on this unforgettable journey through Aotearoa. Our final full day in New Zealand is all yours to savor, to explore, to simply relax and take it all in. After nearly 3 weeks of extraordinary moments, this is your chance to set the pace, revisit some of your favorite spots, or for the really adventurous, discover something new altogether. If you feel like you didn't get enough exercise by this point on the trip and you're feeling active, the Ben Lomond track offers one of Queenstown's most rewarding hikes. With panoramic views stretching across the Remarkables, Lake Wakatipu, and even out as far as Mount Aspiring National Park on a clear day, it's a favorite among locals and visitors alike. While the full summit hike is certainly not for the faint of heart, the lower section to the saddle offers breathtaking scenery without needing to go the full distance. For those longing for something a little more leisurely, a lakefront walk along Lake Wakatipu is the way to go. This glacier-fed lake is New Zealand's longest, and as the Maori legend I referred to a few moments ago has it, it breathes. According to Maori mythology, the lake's rhythmic rise and fall is a heartbeat of a giant sleeping at its depths. Alternatively, just steps from the town center, the Queenstown Gardens offer a peaceful escape with manicured lawns, rose gardens, native trees, and panoramic lake views. It's a lovely spot for a quiet moment of reflection or maybe one of those last photos amongst the blooms. And just like that, it's time to say haerera, which is the Maori saying for farewell, to the land of the long white cloud. After a final breakfast at a charming cafe near our hotel, we'll arrange for your transfer back to Queenstown Airport for your onward journey or your trip back home. From bubbling geothermal pools in Rotorua to the glow of canyon fireflies, from the stillness of alpine lakes to the roar of waterfalls in Milford Sound, we've journeyed across islands, climates, and cultures through legends and landscapes that define the very heart of New Zealand. If you decide to join us on this adventure-filled yet slow-paced live-away, I can assure you that the spirit of the land will stay with you long after the wheels leave the runway. If what I've shared about our live away in New Zealand appeals to you and you're looking to get some more details, we've certainly got plenty available. And the best way to access it all is to visit our website. You'll find a link in the description just below this video, which will take you directly to the webpage for our upcoming trips. There you'll find a summary of each of the trips as well as the prices and other details. But more importantly, there's a link in there which has our detailed program itinerary that's like a full color e-brochure, which also has all the terms and conditions and everything else that you need to know. In addition to all that, we have a trip-specific reference guide that provides logistical details, answers to common questions about weather, climate, what to pack, and we aim to have all the information available to you within just a couple of clicks. But if you still have any lingering questions or you just want to talk to somebody to determine if this trip is really right for you, the best way is to get in touch with us and you can drop an email to Paula, who'll be more than delighted to assist with any questions and ensure that you have everything you need to know to be able to join us on this trip. Thank you for joining me on this virtual journey covering our LiveAway to New Zealand. I hope it's given you a glimpse of what you can expect. Our trips are designed to give you more than just a typical tour. They're about experiencing a destination as if you were a temporary local. With carefully selected excursions and plenty of free time, you'll have the chance to explore at your own pace while also discovering the culture, cuisine, and history of each destination. If you enjoy following our webinars on new trips, you can consider subscribing to our YouTube channel by clicking on the subscribe button, which is just below. That way you'll get a notice every time we release a new webinar or trip. Otherwise, thanks again for taking the time to explore this part of the world with me. And if you're not already on our newsletter list, I invite you to join our community and perhaps we'll see you on one of our trips. Would love to have you along to New Zealand. In the meantime, happy travels.